What do you think? Do you think it's all because Sakevich is gone?
No, I don't.
What is the difference? And I know it's early, and maybe they'll fall back into the same pattern. I don't want to. Well, as we say, and you just give a can of Harrow because it's. I'm not going to.
You ready for 2 words here, Eric? Ernie Stewart. Neil Smart of Smart Soccer, smartsoccer.com. That's where you can find him.
Well, your wife likes you after all these years. That's a good thing, man. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, first of all, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you. And tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be sitting with us here today.
Yeah, thanks, Bob and Eric. Great to be here. Thank you for having me on the show. My name is Neil Smart. I am a full-time youth soccer coach in the area. I think many friends and parents listening are probably familiar with my Smart Soccer program. So, and when I leave this show, I'm going straight to coaching kids. So it's pretty much what I do all the time. That being said, it's just a brilliant time to be involved in the game. Whether it's MLS and the Union, the Premier League, which is currently on behind us. The game has grown so much, being in great pubs like Villa Capri. So I'm into youth soccer coaching. A lot of people know that, but I'm just into the game and helping to make the game better in whatever way we can, 85 and 86, I was on seasonal coaching contracts. The lady who was yelling in the background a few minutes ago, I did meet her in 86, and after spending a bit of time in England together, we settled back in the US, and I immediately thought, with my teaching background, because I did a teaching degree in England, obviously I had a pretty good playing background, and I saw that there was a bit of a growth in youth soccer. We're going back to the mid-80s now. So I immediately thought, with my last name, what are you going to call a company, right? Smart Soccer, right?
It's beautiful.
I didn't have to think too long about that. And fortunately, we've had longevity and sort of become, a factor in helping kids learn the game, enjoy the game, and it's just been an excellent experience. I'm no spring chicken anymore, but I'm still going, and will do until they tell me otherwise.
You're a spring chicken to me.
Oh, thank you, Eric. Yeah.
Well, let me tell you.
I knew there was a reason I sat next to you.
There you go. We got to stick together, my friend. But you're right. I mean, if you were like not too Smart Soccer, that wouldn't have the same footage.
That's right. We used to have that saying, smart by name but not by nature. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's something to live up to, really. I'm glad that wasn't my name. I would be failing miserably, so I'm glad that's not my name. How do you feel when you teach these kids not only about soccer, but I'm assuming about life things also?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how does that how do you feel when you what's a high point in what you do? Can you give us an example?
Without question, it's very rewarding. I mean, sometimes there's so many kids out there who need to be coached and taught. You can't keep up with all of them, but the great rewarding is this is rewarding and embarrassing at the same time. But I now have parents who I coached bringing their kids to the program.
Very good.
So
that's
like I said, rewarding and embarrassing at the same time.
Embarrassing, or is
not
it
really? Not really. Young at heart, you know what I mean? No,
the alternative's worse.
Yeah.
So it's good that they're bringing their kids to you.
Oh, it is.
Right?
No, I think it's a great thing. I only joke in that. It's a great thing because, the continuity's there where they had the experience of me coaching them and now their kids are coming in. So, and I've made a point, I haven't really coached the kids to the highest level. I'm a big believer in getting the kids when they begin, when they're young, in the formative years, and trying to sort of put a skills base in so they can go on, A, maybe better players, but B, play the game for life, Yep. I mean, I now operate very locally. I used to be spread far and wide. Now I'm really local. So people know my website. They know I have a Facebook page. They probably can find me in here quite often if they really want to. But no,
Let's face it,
I think I'm pretty accessible. I'm in constant touch with not just the parents but the board of directors level, all the volunteer coaches in a club. I suppose it's a culmination of being around for so many years. I'm pretty accessible and people know how to find me. My sort of policy is dealing with clubs. So I have partnerships with clubs. So once you have a partnership with a club, they're very good at sort of letting the parents, the membership know, hey, Neil's here, he can train the kids, he can train the coaches, the parents, and he's just available to offer whatever type of training the kids need or want.
I think that's great, especially the training the coaches. I mean, that's a very, I think, undervalued aspect of these things, because how often do you have just, okay, you have 12, 15, 18 kids, and, well, which parent wants to be the coach? And that's great, and because they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart, but to have that base of skills to learn from someone like you, I think is really important in terms of spreading the game, making a deep pool of talent in the different clubs around the area.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, Bob. And there's a couple of gentlemen behind me who came through my coaching routines. And what I've tried to do is you've got to make it fun for the coaches as well as the kids.
Sure.
So in addition to sort of training them how to run practices for the kids, I sort of introduced informal adult soccer games. So they would just kick around, and they loved it. And, of course, it was a great way to increase attendance at my clinics, right? Not only are we talking about coaching the kids here, but we're also going to play. So whatever level you are. And so I would get 30, 40, 50 coaches out, and they were there for the kids, but they also knew there was that, hey, we can play at the end. This is fun.
That's right.
Matt and I go back a long way as players together. Matt Menino, the owner of Villa Capri. And we lost touch for a number of years. But once I realised, hey, he's here with Villa Capri, we reconnected. And then Matt was kind of trying to build up the soccer presence. And the camaraderie is correct, and I'll tell you why. Number one, you have a balance of expats and locals, and we all get on great together. That's number one. And then within the expats, you've got all the different, you've got Spurs, you've got Arsenal, you've got United, you've got City. So the good-natured sort of humour is always in evidence. And if you were an outsider looking in, you would think, wow, do these guys really like each other? But we do, you know. It's just the way, the humour of the game. And so the balance is there between expats and local US soccer fanatics, and the balance is there within the expats. And it just creates an amazing atmosphere.
That's good.
It really does.
I'll tell you what, the first time, I'm sorry, Bob, go ahead.
Well, I just want to let the listeners know, because we've been chatting with them for a while, and if you're just tuning in, we're talking with Neil Smart, owner of Smart Soccer, a wonderful, wonderful agency for helping kids in the area, teaching them. And Neil, the next thing I wanted to talk about is, and I'm sure you've talked about this a lot with the kids you train, is your background in soccer. You moved here to the United States, but I know we were chatting before, and you've had some nice credentials to add to your name as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously been around the game all my life. Was fortunate enough to be at Everton as a schoolboy. Played decent level of semi-pro in my hometown team in England. But when I came here, I fell right into the United German-Hungarian club, and Matt Menino was at that club. We were fortunate enough to go to a national championship. We played against the USA national team. So as a player, I've had great experiences on the field, but also off the field as well. The social and the camaraderie you get through playing at that level, it's hard to put into words, you know. I think being a player and playing at a good level is it brings something to the coaching. It definitely does. But, you know, when you're coaching young kids, you also need that sort of personality to enthuse them. In other words, being a sort of accomplished player is a little different than being an accomplished coach. But if you've got both, it definitely helps, if that makes sense.
Sure.
You know,
absolutely does.
You know what sold me on this place? It's funny. What sold me on this place is having a good feel. First time I was here, we went outside and they were playing. I'm going to probably Subuteo, the finger football game.
Oh, Sabuteo. You bring tears to my eyes now. That's a nostalgic game.
I look at it. The players are literally in the uniforms of Tottenham against Arsenal, and I'm like that they're playing, and it was really great. I mean, first of all, I always thought it was beautiful to look at that game. I didn't know you could actually play it. It was almost like the game can't be functional. It just looks nice, but
there's quite a talent to that game.
This is a unique place, because I've been to a lot of soccer.
You better be on a level plane too, because otherwise that ball is just going to be trickling.
No, my mother used to iron the board onto a piece of wood so it would be nice and flat. You know,
awesome.
It definitely is a if you grew up in my era, in the 70s, 80s in England, and to this day, I'm sure, but Subbuteo was the game to play if you weren't actually playing, Yeah.
It's cool. It's very cool.
Brilliant,
you get those stands, the players, you could paint them. I mean, it's a year-long project if you wanted lights.
They brought in spectators and corner flags. Back in the day, it used to be just a team in red versus a team in white with a ball in the middle. But they brought everything in, It was so when Matt sets it up out on his deck, it's quite impressive.
Do you remember electric football? Do you Bob? You remember electric football?
I do remember electric football. American football.
Right? They would never go straight. They would go around in circles, and you're supposed to control them. But
I played with some players.
It was a big mess, but right. Right. It's like a bunch of drunken people. But the thing is, that game was never. It was beautiful to look at, but it was never functional. So Subbuteo is actually Subbuteo.
We call it Subbuteo.
Yeah.
That's the way we pronounce it. Anyway,
right, they can't just call it table football, right?
No. You got to make it sound glamorous.
Now, Neil, what's I think really interesting as well, and you coaching these kids, I'm sure you see it all the time. We talk about growing the game all the time, and hey, when you guys were young kids, maybe it wasn't as easy, at least in this country, to follow foreign football, and so now you see televisions behind us all over, all these different networks. Great ways to follow. You mentioned Subbuteo. Kind of today's equivalent is FIFA. It's the best-selling game in the entire world, and I'm not sure that.
Which sadly I've never played it, but I get your point.
Coming from a guy that stinks at FIFA, I've maybe played it 10 times in my life, and only because someone else was playing it. For as big a soccer guy as I am, I just can't play the game. But what I'll say is there are kids my age and younger that don't really follow the game besides maybe a World Cup, besides maybe a European Championship. But they know the players, and they know the clubs, and they know where these guys are, and that's because of FIFA. And I think it's just absolutely unbelievable for the game of soccer how the fun, how the entertainment aspect of the game has infiltrated every single part of it.
Yeah, and you see it more and more with the kids coming to the clinics. They're wearing the Liverpool United shirts, they're wearing the Messi shirts, the Ronaldo shirts, and I'm sure some of that comes from the TV, but you're correct, with the younger kids, I'm sure it also comes from the FIFA game, which, is for our generation, right? Can I say that? For our generation.
I'm proud to be in your generation.
Is something that's off the beaten track, let's just say.
Well, it's so technically refined. I mean, when we were younger, we had to make up games. Our imaginations had to be a big part of what we did, and then we still are with what we do with the show and all. But the new generation, it's like, why ever play soccer? It looks exactly like you're watching an EPL match on television. Yeah. The players look like they do. They're better than they are, and they certainly are better than the players, the guy controlling them. Right. So,
hopefully that motivates.
Do you find that? Did you find that with the young people, the youth culture, with the video games, does that hurt? Like people coming out and learning to play soccer?
I was just going to say that. I'm wondering if the video games are an enhancement to the kids then going out to play, or a deterrent in the fact that, hey, we've got it all in front of us, why go and do the real thing? I don't know the answer to that question, by the way. I just wonder about that.
Sure. I tend to think that people are more likely to go out and play. Let's just start with, and it's a different generation than, say, 12-year-olds, but let's just start with my college buddies, the guys that didn't really play the game growing up, didn't really enjoy the game.
Right.
But they start playing FIFA, and all of a sudden on a Sunday afternoon, hey, you want to go kick the ball around?
There you go.
So I don't know. That's
proof of the pudding, Bob, right there.
Maybe that's rose-colored lenses to look through, but that's one positive way to look at it.
They know of the game.
Right.
They're aware
it's more
of
cognizant
the
part
game,
of their
and they're
minds.
aware that it's a huge part on the world stage as well by the whole computer, because I'm sure they end up playing people in other countries or whatnot. I don't even understand how that works. You got 60 guys playing in the same game. Even the guy on the bench is
that's how the game began, though. Playing between villages with hundreds of people involved.
Right.
So it's another thing just to add. Obviously, with the kids, the participation's there. There are thousands, tens of thousands, even in eastern Pennsylvania here. The challenge becomes keeping them involved at the high school level and beyond. You can find Smart Soccer camps this summer locally in Doylestown and Warrington Townships, and at Philadelphia Sports Club in Chalfont. And then down the shore, for all you people who love going down the shore, we will be in Avalon and Sea Isle, and also up here in picturesque Salisbury, PA.
One thing that we are showcasing and what we are doing here is the Euro Cup, which is going to be a big promo for us coming up. And we just want everybody to come in, have a good time, and the more the merrier. So the more people that come out and enjoy it with other fans, the better it's going to be for everybody.
That is the aperture that we need when we're playing the trumpet. It's going to allow us to have a nice, free, relaxed sound.